Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something really profound, identity, and the forgotten greatness within. It's kind of like a cinematic journey, one that's absolutely going to challenge the very core of who you think you are. We're going to step away from the constant noise of modern anxiety and uncover a deeply ancient cosmic liberation. So let's just see what happens if we shift our entire perspective, all right?
Let me ask you something. What if the biggest lie you believe is that you are ordinary? I want you to take a second and really let that sink in. We walk around every single day feeling limited, small, and, well, just ordinary. But what if that entire narrative is completely false? What if the daily struggles, the self-doubt, that feeling of being just another face in the crowd, what if all of that is actually a massive misunderstanding of who you truly are?
Let's ground this in our modern reality for a minute. Think about the symptoms of what we can call the limited self. We're talking about hustle culture, chronic burnout, that crippling imposter syndrome we all feel sometimes, and the literal endless search for validation on social media. We are absolutely crushed by career pressure and this deep, underlying fear of failure and inferiority. Why? Well, it's because we've attached our entire identity to external labels. We define ourselves by our job titles, our bank accounts, our follower counts. And you know, when your identity is tied to things that can change or just disappear, it creates an incredibly fragile ego. We are chronically exhausted because we're constantly running on this treadmill, trying to prove we're somehow enough.
Now, looking at this journal abstract on self-counseling, it really hits the nail on the head regarding our modern crisis. It points out this incredible irony. Our fast-paced, hyper-competitive, materialistic lifestyle has built a virtual world that is totally lacking in real connection and joy. I mean, we have so much luxury, right? Yet we have so little inner peace. We're running a race we don't even want to be in, searching for happiness in shopping malls and status symbols, only to find that it completely fails to satisfy our deepest psychological needs. We've totally lost touch with our true selves.
So, to understand why we feel this way, let's look at a profound insight from the philosopher Søren Kierkegaard. He said something amazing. Anxiety is a vertigo of freedom. Just think about that for a second. A lot of our deep-seated anxiety isn't actually about paying the bills or getting likes on a post. It's metaphysical. Kierkegaard argued that anxiety is a fundamental part of the human spirit. It's the dizzying, frankly terrifying realization of our own limitless possibilities. We're anxious because deep down, we sense this lack of clarity about our true infinite identity. We're literally dizzy standing on the edge of our own immense freedom. And instead of flying, we just cling to the safety of being ordinary.
And you can see how this builds into two totally distinct identities. On one side, you have the false ego. This is an identity disguised as confidence, but secretly, it's terrified. It constantly needs external validation. It's completely driven by titles and appearances, and it has this desperate need to always be right. It competes just to feel worthy. But then, contrast that with true confidence. True confidence doesn't require anyone else's applause. It possesses intrinsic self-worth. It is deeply rooted in one simple, unshakable statement. I know who I am. It doesn't need to prove anything because it's completely secure. So the big question is, how do we shift from that fragile ego to this unshakable confidence?
Well, to make that shift, ancient wisdom offers us a fascinating guide. It's the Sanskrit concept of Mahan. Now, Mahan translates to great, eminent, glorious, and infinite. It's often associated with a cosmic presence that exists completely beyond space and time. So imagine shifting your focus away from your finite, struggling, psychological self, the one worried about tomorrow's morning meeting, and instead aligning yourself with this concept of Mahan, infinite divine greatness.
In ancient Vedic texts, like the Bhagavata Purana, the deity Shiva is actually given this exact title, Mahan. But here's the thing, Shiva represents far more than just a character in a mythological story. Shiva is the majestic embodiment of infinite unconditioned consciousness. Shiva as Mahan is the ultimate reality, the pure awareness that observes the entire universe. It is the greatness that underlies literally all of existence. And the real secret of the Vedic philosophers is that this greatness isn't just floating out there somewhere in the cosmos.
Which brings us to Advaita Vedanta. Advaita literally translates to not two, or one without a second. It's the ancient Hindu philosophy of non-duality. And what's really fascinating about Advaita Vedanta is how it completely dismantles the illusion that you are a separate, isolated, or ordinary self. It teaches that the individual soul and the highest infinite reality are actually one and the exact same thing. There is zero separation. It's like the drop of water and the entire ocean are made of the exact same essence.
Let's break down this clash of identities a bit further. The limited identity, known as Jivatman, is who you think you are. It's tied to the physical body,
trapped in societal labels, and constantly experiencing duality, separation, and fear. That's the self that feels the burnout. But your true, infinite identity is Brahman. It is limitless, unbroken, pure witness consciousness. It's the ultimate reality. The entire goal here is to realize that the Jivatman is basically just a temporary costume, and Brahman is who you actually are.
The 8th century philosopher Adi Shankara captured this perfectly. He wrote, "I am other than name, form, and action. I am pure awareness, always non-dual." It's honestly as if Shankara is reaching right across the centuries to be our personal psychological coach, telling us that true liberation comes from breaking the chains of our limitations. You are not your name, you are not your job, you are the self-luminous witness consciousness observing your life.
All of this culminates in one of the most powerful statements in human history, known as a Mahavakya, or great saying, and that is, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, or, essentially, I am the infinite. When you truly, deeply grasp this, it absolutely destroys ignorance. It reveals that your individual awareness, the very I that is listening to me right now, is a direct expression of the infinite cosmic spirit. You are not some tiny fragment. You are literally the whole thing looking at itself.
Okay, so how do we actually experience this in real life? Because it's not just about intellectual understanding, right? It's a practice. Advaita Vedanta outlines a structured path to attain vidya, which is liberating knowledge. It starts with shravana, listening to the truth, actively taking in these concepts. Then comes manana, which is deeply reflecting on what this means for your own life. And finally, it culminates in nididhyasana, profound, repeated meditation. This is the systematic process of negating our false ego identities and finally waking up to the vast cosmic consciousness within us.
As we walk this path, we awaken what we can call the celestial self. How? Well, by actively rejecting those oversimplified identity labels. You are so much more than a handful of adjectives. We practice detaching the subject from the object, meaning detaching your pure awareness from the things you observe, like your physical form or your racing thoughts. We practice negating the illusion of I am this. Remember, you are not your anxiety. You are not your success. You are the pure awareness behind them. Ultimately, we realize the coincidence of opposites, where the divine and the human, the infinite and the finite, coalesce into one beautiful, harmonious whole.
Now let's bring this all together. Take a moment to just picture the night sky. The billions of galaxies, the sheer endless stretch of space and time. It's easy to look up and feel incredibly small, ordinary, and insignificant. Because yes, the universe is vast.
But consider this. The sheer physical size of the cosmos is nothing compared to the majesty of the awareness observing it. The reality is, the universe is vast, but the consciousness from which it emerged is greater still.
That infinite, unconditioned awareness, that sheer magnitude of spirit, that is Mahan.
And the most beautiful, liberating truth of all, you have never been separate from it, not for a single second. It is who you are. So the next time you feel crushed by the weight of the ordinary world, remember, you are the infinite experiencing itself. Are you ready to claim your forgotten greatness?